Well, hello, brothers and sisters. This is the TIB Gospel Network, and this is a broadcast that you're not going to want to miss. Now, I'm going to wait a few seconds for maybe some other folks to come on board, but if they don't, you can always find this recording at Mixler, mixler.com/endtimes4565. That's mixler.com/endtimes4565. That is our normal radio broadcasting location on the internet. And we are heard there daily from about 9:45 a.m. until 11 a.m. Central Time. And we have a Bible study, and we are presently in the book of Psalms. But you're watching on YouTube. Now, if you'll notice on YouTube, I have to sort of apologize in that I don't have a camera available right now because my main computer is dropping out, and I'm only down to one PS2 port. And so I thought I would give you our screen for the TIB Gospel Network, which is the new name here on YouTube and on Mixler. God is getting ready to do some mighty things with our ministry, and I've taken the Lord's instruction and started a new program called the TIB Gospel Network, or the Truth in Broadcasting Gospel Network. Now, we may not have the best of equipment, not yet, and I may not be the best speaker behind a microphone. But I want to tell you what you do get from the TIB Gospel Network is truth, and isn't that what we want, is the truth. Well, for those of you who are logged in, I would like to welcome you on Mixler to the TIB Gospel Network, and this is a news-breaking broadcast. And I want to have a short discussion about the Middle East peace plan of all times. Now, Kushner is in charge of this peace plan, Donald Trump's son-in-law, and Donald Trump, of course, the president, is the leader of this peace plan, and him and Benjamin Netanyahu have been working together. And I want to tell you that next week sometimes, I don't have a date yet, for the Economic Summit of the Middle East. Now, it's called the Economical Summit of the Middle East, the finances of the Middle East in general, the prosperity of the Middle East in general. And I thought, why would they be choosing the Economical Summit of the Middle East to bring one half of this peace plan? Well, after investigation, I came to a very frightening conclusion. And this is what I want to discuss. What if this peace plan works after all? What if this whole peace plan is the one in all of the world, in all of time, that is actually functionable, bringing about peace in the Middle East? What if? Now, there's a lot of us that doubt, because we've seen this so many times, you know, yelling, there's a fox in the hen house so many times that when there is one, we lose all of our chickens because we don't go check it out. We've heard it so many times. But what if this one is actually the one that works? Well, let's take a look at it. You see, the authors of the plan, success would be removing the Palestinians and their predicament from the international agenda at the world's lowest price possible. Now, keep in mind that our president just gave Saudi Arabia a few $1 billion worth of military equipment. Keep that in mind. So for the authors of this peace plan, whoever they all may be, success would be removing the Palestinians and their predicament from the international agenda and at the lowest price possible. Now, we can imagine that this peace plan should have something to do with the Palestinians. Right? Now, the president and everybody has invited the Palestinians to Bahrain, which is where the summit will be held in Bahrain, but the Palestinians have most ungracefully said no. They're not going. They don't want to go to Bahrain. Why? Wouldn't somebody want to be there so that they could rebut what is told? Or maybe their absence is to try to evade embarrassment. Now, we all been so busy talking about this Trump peace plan, which for now seems to be materializing as the peace of prosperity. Hello, prophetic students, the peace and prosperity, peace and safety, peace and prosperity. So it's materializing as the peace and prosperity economic workshop in Bahrain in June. Now, we haven't asked ourselves the question of what if this actually works? Now, I don't mean what happens if the plan proves to be the deal of the century and brings about the great breakthrough which will lead to this great historical peace treaty between Israel and the Palestinians. Absolutely no one except Donald Trump, who hasn't even read the plan, and he probably not gonna, he believes that it's possible. Not even the plan's actual authors, Jared Kushner, David Friedman, and others, can think that. But that isn't what they would call success. So I say, as far as the authors of the plan are concerned, it's not about delivering a just and equitable solution for the Palestinians. Pay attention. To them, success would be removing the Palestinians and their predicament from the international agenda at the cheapest price possible. And that price is a series of semi-autonomous rules in Gaza and, at most, half the territory of the West Bank and as much Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and Qatar cash as it would take to keep them quiet. Money from Saudi Arabia and the Arabians to pay off the Palestinians. Now, Kushner and Freeman, they're not stupid. They probably know that the chances of the Palestinians accepting this prices are going to be zero, but they don't care. They're not even trying to get the Palestinians interested in this thing. The Bahrain Economical Workshop was convened without even consulting the Palestinians. They just got their invitations, and of course they turned them down. And so there's been a big rumor of economic peace by trying to buy off the Palestinians and bribing them to give up on their national aspirations. Now, of course, that's a misreading, I think, of Kushner and Freeman's strategy. They couldn't care less what the Palestinians accept. They're trying to buy off the Arab world. At least the parts of it they care about, the leaders of Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the other Gulf states, such as giving Saudi Arabia a few $1 billion in equipment. They already know from the meetings they've had over the past couple of years that the Arab kings and dictators have little interest in the Palestinian cause beyond even paying any lip service to it. You see, the aim is to capitalize on that, in that they don't care, and by way of promising an enhanced alliance with the United States to make the abandonment of the Palestinians a fait accompli. In other words, to get them to take the money. The success of this plan, ladies and gentlemen, relies on the Arab leaders, because if they do, even by remaining silent in public, it doesn't matter what the Palestinians do or say, right? You see, they could blow themselves up with the Third Intifada. But if they don't have support from the main Sunni Arabia regimes, the Trump team believes no one else will either. Nobody else is going to care. It doesn't matter. Let me say that again. The Palestinians could blow themselves up with the biggest bombs they got, but if they don't have the support of the main Sunni Arab regimes, the peace plan believes that no one else is going to care either. Blow yourself up. I know what you're thinking. You might say this is impossible. You're thinking that this world would never agree to such an injustice being brought about that 5 million Palestinians stuck under various degrees of military occupation and without basic civil rights won't wash in the 21st century, and that the long arc of the moral universe will eventually bend toward justice. Well, maybe eventually. But meanwhile, have you seen what the world looks like right now? Are you paying attention? You see, if the Arab leaders sign off on a plan that offers the Palestinians semi-autonomy with a multi-billion-dollar economic package, but not statehood, who's going to stick up for them? The European Union? Huh? Where nationalists and populist parties that see Benjamin Netanyahu as the father figure are about to make big gains in this European election? Huh? How about Vladimir Putin, whose air force is plummeting the last groups of the Syrian rebels? Or Bibi's just re-elected best friend, Narendra Modi of India? Huh? Impossible, some might think. Not happening. Are you paying attention? Now, Kirshner and Freeman believe that they're getting closer to consigning the Palestinians to the category of the Kurds, the Tibetans, and the Tamils, to name a few of the stateless nations for which the world doesn't really care, right? That is, if they can get the Arab regimes to go along with this peace plan. Well, this is impossible. You say this can't happen. Well, in about a week and a half, or less now, Israel's going to be celebrating Jerusalem Day, also known as the anniversary of the occupation. That's 52 years. Now, and Israel has never been under less pressure to end it. You see, the odds are still against the Kirshner and Freeman plan. You understand? But it's far from inconceivable that it will. Which brings us to the question, when the world at large gives up on the Palestinians, who's going to be on their side? Do you see this plan? What if the Palestinians were out of the box? What if the Middle East Peace Treaty was for the Middle East minus the Palestinians? The Palestinians are gaining their authority by continually bombing, starting fires, causing ruckus, chaos, staying in the news against Israel, blah, 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 this and that. But what if they were non sequiturs? Now, granted, Palestine, they're still going to have, let's see, Iran, and Thanksgiving Day turkey, and the Rocket Man, and Venezuela. as well as all the other quote-unquote human rights organizations and shrinking parts of the Western media, along with increasingly irrelevant votes and various United Nations forums, just for old time's sake, you know. But they're going to have one more, rather more relevant ally. Yes, you're right. You're thinking it. The liberal, left-leaning Jews, a few in Israel, and many more in the United States. Now, if Kirshner and them pull it off, the peace plan, liberal Jews and the majority among the Americans, they'll find that their role has been reversed. You see, Israel will no longer want their support, while they will still feel they need to save Israel from itself. For sure, Netanyahu, he's already convinced that he doesn't need them, the left, and much prefers the uncritical support of his Christian evangelical fans. You see, but there's not going to be any pretense anymore. Instead, you know, they may find themselves the only significant group of critics of Israel in the West. Of all the indignities American Jews have suffered at the hands of President Trump, transforming them from Israel's base to its main critics, could be the biggest thing. Now, I know this all sounds like some sort of information from outer space. And I also find it very interesting that no one has considered taking the Palestinians out of the picture. And if the whole of the Middle East, with the exception of those that we mentioned, such as Iran, Turkey, North Korea, Venezuela, would hold on to the Palestinians, but everybody else, throwing the Palestinians under the bus by way of $1 billion economic package, getting them to silence, giving them quiet money, until they become an unnationed group of people like the Kurds or anybody else. And the Middle East comes up with a peace plan that the Antichrist can plug into his agenda for the 7-year peace treaty, perhaps in the second half. Once the first half of the peace plan is initiated and successful, and it takes the Palestinians out of the picture, I believe it leaves an open door to the Antichrist to plug in his 7-year package. Now, I'll give you a little bit of this to chew on. You think about this, and you pay close attention to this economic summit in Bahrain in June. I'll be on top of it, and we'll see that if I'm crazy, or if this becomes a factual part of the agenda. At first, it's going to be chaos. There's going to be more news media about kicking the Palestinians under the bus than anything in the world is this first half going to bring about the Psalm 87 war? Because the Middle East agenda is trying to put the Palestinians in a box and set them on a shelf? Since they won't shut up, and they're always a sickness in this peace plan, no matter what it is. We tried to bring them in, we tried to bring them in, we tried to bring them in. All they want to do is annihilate Israel. Let's pay them off. Let's all come together with all of our money. Let's all come together. Let's all pitch in with all of our money, and let's offer these guys a big economic gift for them to sit back and be quiet for a while. Let's offer them a few $billions to rebuild their nation over there, their little island, and let them sit over there and be quiet. My gosh, ladies and gentlemen, you're talking about a powder keg here that no one can come up with an outcome. But how slick is this? This only shows us the intelligence that made Donald Trump a billionaire. He knows how to get rid of the group that don't want to play. I'll just pay them off. You know what? You're not building this right, but I don't want to cause a bunch of trouble, so look, I'm going to go ahead and pay you double for what I promised, and you just pack up your stuff and leave. I wonder how many times that's happened in his works, in his negotiations, the great negotiator. Now, I'm not speaking so much against Donald Trump as I'm trying to show you the birth pains from this package. In other words, they don't want to play, so it's going to take money to shut them up. We'll pay them off, then we'll come together and bring this true peace plan because we need it with all that's going on in this world. And we can quiet the hecklers by paying them to leave the building. Think about it. This has been a TIB Gospel Network announcement. And all the information doesn't reflect on anyone and was given for entertainment purposes only. However, you do your own investigation. This has been a TIB Gospel Network announcement.